Welcome to Learn, Lead, Lift, how to think, act, and inspire your way to greatness. Today we're talking about the false assumptions around grit. Grit is something that leaders have a couple of false assumptions about. According to Angela Duckworth, author of the best-selling book Grit, effort counts twice as much as talent. The more effort you apply, the more your skill rises, and the more you achieve, regardless of your talent. False assumption number one about grit is that many people believe the opposite. That when it comes to achieving something, they believe talent matters more than effort. Well, if that were true, and Maria and Jim exert the same amount of effort, and have similar levels of talent, their achievements should be roughly similar, right? Wrong. Which brings us to false assumption number two about grit. Research proves that Maria, a Hispanic female, needs to exert more effort than Jim does to achieve similar outcomes. Even if Maria and Jim, a white male, possess the same level of talent. In other words, if we were looking at this as a math equation, the amount of effort, or E, required is not a constant. It varies according to our perception of the individual and the amount of unearned privilege we and others have granted to them. I call this our privilege quotient, or PQ for short. The bigger your PQ, the further your individual effort will go to enhance your outcome. Who has more unearned privilege? Maria, a Hispanic female, or Jim, a white male? Jim does. Maria has to put forth more effort than Jim does to get the same results. Not because she isn't trying as hard or isn't as talented, but because Jim has more privilege. That's not to say that Angela Duckworth isn't onto something, but leaders need to understand grit at a deeper and more nuanced level and account for the impact of unearned privilege. When a leader decides who to hire, who to promote, or who to let go, it's simply not enough for them to look solely at effort, talent, or even grit. Here are some things to keep in mind. Number one, mastering something really difficult always requires you to fail many times along the way. Number two, failure is not an indicator that you've reached the limit of your talent or ability. It's actually an indicator that you need to adjust something and try again. Number three, if you don't model grit for others, they will be less likely to develop it for themselves. And here are some things to try. Number one, the next time you are tempted to declare, "I'm just not good at this," stop, repeat, and add "yet," so it becomes, "I'm just not good at this yet." Number two, when you feel like giving up after a few tries, instead ask yourself what you are going to do differently this time. Adjust and keep going. Number three, recognize and reward effort in addition to achievement in others. And number four, support someone with a lower PQ or privilege quotient so they don't have to be superhuman to succeed. Simply being a human who puts in the effort should be enough.